My name's Corey Cognac. I am a comedian slash producer, show producer, and I have been doing this a little bit over 1 year. That's, I do produce my own shows, around 6 to 8 per month. But yeah, I get booked on other people's shows, and that is kind of like working for the booker, the promoter of that show. So yeah, at any point, I am working for somebody else, so to speak, and then I'm working for myself as well. But it's all self-employment. It is all on an individual basis. You still get to make your own decisions on what you do for the most part, you know. There is no training that you can take to become a comedian. It is a fight or flight career and profession from the start to the pros. And there are classes that you can take that I'm not sure if you could probably get things out of them, but when it comes down to it, it's really about what's inside you that's gonna, make you successful or not. And I'm sure that goes for other things as well, but comedy especially, I feel like. My background, I was a bartender when I was younger and stuff. I was a doorman. I was always kind of social. I had very social jobs, and then I became I'm actually a certified addiction counselor, which I worked in that field for 9 years. And during that time, I was a group facilitator a lot, on a daily basis, work days. And so I'd find myself speaking in front of large groups, small groups, large groups. And that actually, I feel like, got me better prepared to do stand-up comedy. I was already somewhat accustomed to doing some public speaking. I had done some traveling with the last company that I had worked for. I was speaking at out-of-state events and stuff. It was awesome. So that definitely helped. I mean, if I can get a laugh talking about, 50,000 people dying from heroin, I think, you're in pretty good shape to take on the world after that, right? For me, to be able to express myself freely and not have somebody depicting what I'm able to say, that's freedom to me. If I can get paid to be myself in front of people, you're winning. And I had done, when I was younger, 10, 15 years ago, I was like a hip hop artist. I did rap and stuff. All my friends were in that industry, and I got signed to a little independent label that was paying for studio time, and I thought it was cool. And that's kind of where that kind of started. And now that too. So I did some shows doing that, and I had some stage time doing that, and it was a great feeling. And to be able to have something that you create by yourself, enjoyed by other people, there's no better feeling. It's a great thing. You can do that. I'm constantly working with tons of people. There is a community in South Florida. Okay, there's cliques even. Okay, there's certain bookers that only book certain comedians, and there's other bookers that are just starting out. Everybody wants to do gigs and perform at cool places, right? South Florida doesn't have built-in establishments like a New York or Chicago would, right? Where they have actual comedy clubs. We're out here building comedy spaces within the venues that are available to us. Okay. So yeah, there's a large community of super supportive and talented comedians down here. And so no, it's definitely not a solitary thing. But yes, working on your craft, it is the most solo thing that you can do. When you are on stage, there is nobody that can help you. There is nobody coming to fix anything or tell you what to do. So it's very solitary in that aspect. But behind the scenes, it's a community and there's people that can really lift you up. And there are people, other comedians will be like, oh, that bit about such and such, that was great, keep that type thing. But you don't even really need to hear that from them, because you can tell if you got a laugh or not. So it's up to you to really figure all that stuff out. You can get all the feedback you want from a community and from other comedians, but it's all about, did they laugh? There's comedians that make fun of other comedians that, they get off stage and they'll be like, hey man, how did I do? And the veterans will look at you and be like, you know how you did, did they laugh? It's like, you know what I mean? Did they laugh? Yes, they did. Okay, cool. Then you're doing good, dude. So yes and no, it's solitary, and it's, like I said, there's plenty of people that do comedy down here anyway. And I feel super fortunate to be part of what's going on down here, to be able to have people to look up to. Most people have been doing it longer than me, and I'm super grateful to be a part of shows with some of these guys that have been doing it, 4, 5, 6, 10 years. It's a privilege. So I run a company called Intrepid Events. I produce, like I said earlier, I produce 6 to 8 comedy shows per month from Miami to Fort Pierce. Okay, that's pretty much all of South Florida. The advantages of producing my own shows is that I have guaranteed stage time. I'm on my own shows, so it's been a great way for me to really meet other comedians, because I'm booking people, I'm paying people, so I'm giving people serious opportunities, and then I'm able to showcase myself to them, because they know people that book shows. They book shows, but the business part, not a whole lot of money in comedy. To get to the level that you want to be at, which is producing at a big venue like the Improv, that takes a lot. That takes talent. That takes marketing yourself, your brand. You have to be recognized, and I've been able to do it very quickly. And there's good and bad. There's people that don't want to support you as much because you're not as experienced as a lot of other people. And then there's other people that are super supportive and want to be part of what you got going on. They like what they see. But that's with any business, right? I wouldn't say that there's any competition in comedy. For the most part, people just want to see each other have great shows and book good shows. And with the entertainment industry to begin with, a lot of it is the behind the scenes relationships that you make. So nobody is blatantly against you, I feel like. Nobody has outwardly spoken out against me to my face. Whereas if you are doing a different business, I could see that there is just blatant competition that, right, that is just your enemy, so to speak. And that's just how most businesses are. It's a cutthroat world, right? So with comedy and entertainment business, to be, you know, it's not like that. So that's a pretty good advantage, and it can give you some peace. Plus, what we're doing is trying to make people laugh, trying to bring joy to the community, and what's better than that, you know? So, but yeah, disadvantages, not a whole lot of money. I'll get booked on a show, you know, that's 45 minutes away from me in Fort Lauderdale or something, and get paid $20, you know, pays for my gas. Go there, do 10, 15 minutes on stage, and, you know, might get a drink. There's a joke, you know, there's the old thing that comedians coming up, they say they used to get paid in chicken wings, right? I haven't got any chicken wings. I wish more chicken wings were at my dispense. Kind of got the shitty end of the stick on that. But yeah, the drinks come, you know, get a couple drinks when you go do a show and you make a couple bucks. $20 was an example. I'm not saying that's what you're going to make every time, but even to get to that point is a journey. Okay, so the things you want to ask yourself when approaching comedy is, are you okay with getting paid in chicken wings? Okay. Are you okay with going and driving an hour just to do an open mic for 5 minutes and not get paid, just to work on one new joke that you have that week? Okay. Because that might be the only night that stage time that's available to you at the time. Okay. Not everybody just goes right in and starts, you know, getting booked and getting paid, and, you know, it's a process. Comedy is the only profession, or anything really entertainment wise, that you can't really practice until you are doing it in front of people. You know, there is no way to practice stand-up comedy without an audience. You can say all you want to yourself in the mirror and even make your mom crack up, you know, but that doesn't mean anything until you're in front of a stage, until you're on a stage. Musicians, for instance, get to practice for years before they get in front of anybody. Stand-up comedy, you can't do that. So when approaching stand-up comedy, are you okay with doing years of just practicing and half the time bombing in front of people? How strong is your will? Can you take it? You have to be a strong person in order to do this, because not everything is going to go your way, because not everybody in that audience is your buddies that you grew up with making crack up. You were Stifler in high school. You're hilarious. That's awesome. Might not be as easy in front of a crowd, and every crowd's different. I did a show 2 weeks ago. The entire crowd was old white people. Okay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Okay. I'm 37 years old. I'm in between. I feel old. I think I look decently young. So you have to adjust, and that's learning. I had to already do 20 shows where it was all old white people in order to know how to handle that situation. Those 20 shows I didn't get paid for. Those are just maybe open mics. They were, you know, something else that I had to drive 30, 40 an hour, you know, time just to get to, just to learn how to do that. So, you know, and then it's the off time. You're preparing things for people, right? You spend, you know, I don't know, spend a couple hours writing, maybe a day, messing with different things, running them by your friends, right? Put a lot of work into a bit, thinking of different ways to do it, say it, and then you go up and it bombs. And then you got to do it the next night. You got to go back and try a different joke that night. Or maybe you try the same joke. That hurts even worse. Go up and try the same joke that just bombed the night before. You got to say it again because you're like, dude, I worked hard on this bit. Got to say that thing again, right? And then it hits. Then you get a laugh. Then you're confused. Can I do this at the big show? Well, what kind of crowd are you going to have that night? Don't know. Who's on the show? So-and-so is. Oh, he usually brings out, Asian people. Asian people? I don't have any jokes for Asian people. I hope they like my old white people jokes. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. It's a roll of the dice, and you just have to be prepared for everything. And the only way you can do that is with practice. And you're not going to be getting paid for that practice. That's what anybody approaching comedy needs to know. You're going to be thick-skinned. Your friends aren't going to be at all your shows. I had friends coming out when I first started. Okay. They don't come out anymore. They're like, dude, I already saw you. And they probably think I suck. Okay. Because they were seeing me early. They wanted to come laugh at me, not with me. Right. So you're going to have that family that comes out at first and they're like, oh, this is hilarious. Whatever he says is funny. And then you take it serious and they're like, oh, you're still doing that? It's like, yeah, it'd be cool if you could come out. That'd be fun. And they're like, oh, yeah, I don't know. Gotta feed my goldfish, It's like, yeah. So it's tough. It's a tough road. And best thing you can do is just link up with people, like-minded people, like in any business, and try to just work together towards common goals, towards getting in front of good crowds and good performing at good venues and finding out who's booking shows, who's on the right path, who does similar comedy to you. Maybe you want to be near them, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't want to be with a bunch of other white guys that are telling jokes about possibly being gay. A very common theme with the white male comedy genre. Might be gay, might not be gay. So, it's I know it's a lot of information to process. I just can't explain how many variables there are when it comes to stand-up comedy. It's you just have to maneuver it the best you can and keep at it, and and you'll start to make progress, and then you'll do a big show and you'll bomb, and you'll forget your lines. And then you'll want to quit. And then you'll say, but I came this far. And it's like, oh, your family doesn't even come out to see you anymore. Should I keep going? Can't. Anyway, all right. Next question. Thick skin. But I'll tell you what, the best crowds are people that don't have money. The hoity-toity people, I live right next to Palm Beach, okay? People with money, they sit there and they're like, all right, entertain me. Cross their arms, entertain me, clown, right? You go to a little dive bar where people are drinking and having fun and happy to be out and all that. They're having a ball. And you can insult them to their face and they will laugh. I did this country-ass bar. I said, man, you guys don't have good dental insurance out here. And they thought it was hilarious. And I'm talking about them. And they're smiling at me with their 3 teeth, you know? Just happy to be out and being entertained. But people, you know, people that, with money and all that, and not always as receptive. Doing stand-up comedy, you have to be used to a microphone, a corded microphone that you can trip over. I've had the bottom of the microphone wire drop out on me in the middle of a big show, okay? Talking 300-400 people, and the mic drops out, and you just gotta bend over, swallow your pride, pick that thing up. I couldn't get it in, and this lady goes, "He can't get it in." And then I put it in the mic, and it's on, and I said, "Oh, I can put it in, baby." And, you know, so you're saved. I'm saved, right? But yeah, no, you can have issues with the mic, believe it or not. But no, to produce a comedy show, you have to have sound equipment. A lot of people think they can just start, you know, they find a venue to do a show at and they can just start it up. It's like, dude, you need sound equipment, couple $1,000. You need some good speakers, at least 1 or 2 microphones. And it's really it. It's really it. I mean, piece of paper and a pen. To travel all the time as a comedian. If you want to get in front of new people, you want to get in front of new crowds, get into new venues. Many times you have to go to a show at a venue that you're not booked on just to meet the people that work it, to meet the people that are on the show, that book the show. And that's no pay. You ain't getting paid to come out to shake hands. So there's more travel involved than you think. If you're really serious about it, then you're staying in the mix as much as possible. You're traveling to every show you can just to keep up and stay within the community. People see your face, people get to know you more. As a booker, I've booked people off of just their presence. I keep seeing them. They're friendly. They're not uptight. They're not stuck up about what they're doing. And somebody I want to work with, that I learned about them off stage. They could be funny, they might not be, but if I see them once and they do pretty good, I'll give them a shot. You know, come do 10, 15 minutes on stage. Let's see how it goes. When it comes to money, stand-up comedy, you're not guaranteed anything till you have proven your value. You won't always get paid for your value. I come in contact and have been on shows with comedians that are not known, okay, that are funnier than some of the people you see on TV, okay? So, but it's like the people on TV did something different during their route to get to that point, okay? Obviously, there's talent. I'm not saying that people who have Netflix specials aren't talented, but they put themselves in a better position, whether who they knew or what they did on their route or where they were at, that made it so they could monetize it better than some of the people that I mentioned. The money is not great until you are getting to levels that, to be honest, I'm not at, or really even close to. You might, during your first couple of years, you might develop a 10-minute set, right? First 6 months, maybe you get a solid 10 minutes. Doesn't sound like very long. stand on a stage with a microphone, it's going to be a long time. So, so then it grows, right? Then you have 20 minutes. Doesn't mean you're going to get paid any more. Then you have 30 minutes. You become a feature for a headliner, right? And you might make some money, but it might only be for one show a month, you know, maybe two, where you are actually getting paid your worth to truly entertain during that time, during those 20 minutes, during that, you know, and it's just all about just the dream, and continuing what you started, continuing what you have seen, continuing the path to what you've seen other people achieve. So, you know, unless you're booking shows, which I've been blessed with opportunities to do so, I take advantage of a lot of opportunities to within this realm, within the comedy world. I've just gone full force and have been producing as many shows as I can and putting everything I have into them. And it's, I'm not going to lie, there's definitely, I don't want to say it's a selfishness, but my goal is to get myself in front of people. Yes, I'm building up, you know, other people's careers to give them more stage time. But, you know, I'm showcasing myself. I'm building Corey Cognac. My business is Intrepid Events. Yes, I'm producing shows, but the goal is to continue to build Corey Cognac as a brand to monetize it in the future. And so that's something that people want to think about. You want to monetize something right away with stand-up comedy, then you find a venue and you produce your own show, you market it, produce it, book it, have the equipment, have good talent at your show, make it a smooth show, and make sure it's packed, okay? And make sure it's a good experience that people want to come back to. You can continue to monetize it, you know? But as a comedian on your own, from my experience, I mean, there's people 4 or 5 years into stand-up comedy, and they get recognized, they get booked for some big shows, but it's not every week. It's not, you know, it's not all the time, because there's just not enough of that down here anyway. And then you can overextend yourself, where if you just keep, you know, beating a dead horse at the same places, then people, no matter how good you are, you can burn yourself out and burn out the crowds, burn out your, you know, the local community out here that, you know. But we get paid in laughs. That's how we get paid most of the time. You know, I'm supposed to take that home, put it right here, and it's worth it most of the time. The thing I like most about stand-up comedy is entertaining people that wouldn't normally see you and wouldn't normally even speak to you. And all of a sudden they're paying attention to you and you're able to make them laugh and make their night, really, and give them something that that they take home with them and can talk about after the show, and maybe even days to come, where you would, as performers, we don't realize that people do that, but the more I do it and the more I hang out with people outside of the comedy world and attend other people's comedy shows, you know, you're really, you're making these people's nights, and it's a great feeling to be able to do that. It's a privilege, or not, you know. Okay, some people say they don't like attention. but they do. They just like the attention from the people they love. Okay. Comedians don't mind getting attention from strangers. And we don't mind the attention because we feel that we're also providing a source of joy to those same strangers. So it's give and take. So that's my favorite part, is to be able to make people laugh. You know, plus if there's some cute single girls in the crowd, it really helps. You know, really helps my personal set. It helps me thrive when there's some, you know, good looking girls in the crowd. I'm being silly, I'm sorry. Drinking free drinks and, you know, staying out late and getting attention from females for no reason other than being a goofball. It's pretty rough, you know?
Yeah.
I've been single this whole time as a comedian. And so I've met plenty of females doing this, okay? But I am in South Florida, okay? I have yet to travel. I did a couple shows in Orlando and stuff, but I've yet to really travel outside. Still in the beginning stages, right? So it's cool, meet a girl, right? She comes to your show, you guys end up hanging out. Things don't go good. She ain't coming back to your show, and neither are her friends. Next time, you know, they might follow you on social media, but next time you got a show, they're not showing up. So, I mean, who wants to see the guy that, you know, I'm not saying I'm out here disrespecting anything, but, you know, dating doesn't always work out. So it's been tough. So you learn a lot of lessons about that as a single comedian, that you really got to stay outside of the whole comedy world in order to not screw things up for yourself. You know, it's to the point where you don't want to even tell a girl what you do, because then she's in that world, and then she might meet other comedians that maybe saw you with a different girl a few nights before, right? So you got eyes on you a lot. That's a disadvantage, that there's people watching your moves. You could do something in your personal life that could make it so that a booker doesn't want to mess with you. You could post one silly thing on Facebook or Instagram where somebody's like, I'm not messing with that guy anymore. And it can affect your career as a comedian. You know, that goes hand in hand with the whole cancel culture going on now. Even as amateur comedians starting out, you have to be very careful on what you do. And at the same time, you have to be super bold in order to be a good comedian. You have to be bold at times. You know, there's shy comedians that get away with it and are extremely funny, but for the most part, you have to kind of take charge. This is my stage, and I'm going to say what I feel and what I think is funny. And at the same time, worrying about what word is not appropriate for that week, right? It can just be the enunciation on how you say a certain thing, and it's all incorporated with how you look, and if you're, you know, other people are able to get away with certain jokes that I won't be able to get away with, that I, you know, not that I would want to. You want to be the bad guy? You want to be a villain? There's a stage, man. There's a microphone, and you got all of social media. You really want attention, dude? You know how to do it. But most people aren't bold enough to do it because it goes against a lot of other people's, you know, a lot of other people's, what they think is acceptable. something that I wish people would have told me before starting stand-up comedy is how hard it is going to be to get support. The first time I performed in front of 400 people, and I did well, okay? I'm not saying I did well on my first time. I'm saying the first time I did well in front of a huge crowd, I thought it was going to be like, you know, when you're walking out of a comedy show, you see people taking pictures with the comedians by the door and stuff. I did well. I stood by the front door and nobody wanted to take a picture with me because I'm not anybody. So I wish that somebody had explained that a little more. No, I don't wish that somebody explained it more. I just wish I knew it. You know what I mean? I wish I knew more that that I wasn't going to be an instant person that people just automatically want to pursue. Now, other people can pull that off, and I'm sure have pulled that off. Okay, but either way, it takes time. You got to be really special and really working on what you're doing in order for people to go out of their way to support you on social media and in person. And those are the two things that that are going to make or break you. And it's very tough to get. I'm a single dad with 50% custody. I've given up a lot of different opportunities in order to be with my daughter on those days. I book my whole month and schedule around my daughter's schedule. Can you have a life? Sure. There's comedians that are just starting out that are married, and I see them all the time without their wives at night, and they're pulling it off. They're working hard at it, and I commend them. But it's going to take up, I'd say, 3/4 of your life. If you're really pursuing it, you need to be in the mix as much as possible. You need to be going out 3-4 nights a week, attending shows or performing, or hitting an open mic. There's 10-year veterans that I see at open mics trying new jokes still. So that's on a weekly basis. So yeah, you can have a life, but your life better be hip to what you're doing, what you're trying to do. You know, I get if I get booked on a paid gig, I get a babysitter to watch my daughter, and she understands. She's 5, and she goes, you know, do great. You know, she understands what I do. She's like, you're gonna make them laugh. I know you are. And I'm like, thank you. And I bomb when I come home. How'd it go? It went great. But as long as I can come home, maybe make her laugh, then my night's okay, right? Go start doing open mics. Write a bunch of material and start doing open mics 2, 3, 4 times a week. If you're in an area that doesn't have them, then travel to areas that do. And if you can't travel to areas that do, then start your own. And if you can just get past the fact that not everything you say or do is going to be golden all the time, then you can continue going. And if the way that you're being received is something that you can mentally withstand, then you're also in good shape. You got to hold on to those laughs. You got to hold on to what works and recreate it, because you can't do those jokes forever. You got to recreate the ones that work. Sometimes it's not even the stuff that you necessarily want to say, but you have to cater to an audience. So you have to say the things that you think they might want to hear instead of always saying what you want to say, which is kind of a downside, I would think. I mean, you still get to do it your own way, per se, but there's a lot of times where I have to, you know, I want to say the joke that works at the dive bar at 3 a.m. with the drunk crowd. Can't always say that in front of a dinner crowd in a nicer area in front of different people. So I'd even go as far as saying that I'm able to say the things I'm saying right now with security because I've built that up over time. Somebody that's 6 months in, they won't be able to even talk about bombing. There's still guys that are like, oh, I've never bombed, or they really try to paint this great picture, but that's not reality. You're gonna bomb sometimes. You're gonna have tough sets and tough nights, and you're gonna, you know, some people truly believe that they can just be amazing all the time, right? Or I'm saying, and the general public doesn't always understand that. They think that Kevin Hart was just murdering crowds 20 years ago when he started. And if you hear the stories, he wasn't. You know, Dave Chappelle pretty much took off very quickly, though. There's certain people that do have true gifts, and just don't expect to be one of them. A way to be in the comedy world without actually performing or being on stage is to produce shows. So if you know a venue that wants to, or they don't even know that they want to, but they want to have kick-ass events at their establishment, then there's opportunities there. See, in any city in America, okay, there are bars that have trivia night. They have karaoke night. They have whatever it is, okay, game night. There's an opportunity to have a comedy night there as well. Maybe it's an open mic, okay? Also part of the, I mentioned guest, feature, and headliner. There's hosting. There's comedians that are purely hosts within the stand-up comedy world. They're not trying to be a national headliner. They like being a host and the goal is for them to host those big events at major venues for big names. That's how they stay in the game, you know, because they're good at warming up a crowd. They're good at getting people involved. Okay, that's a very hard skill as well. To open up a show as a host is extremely hard. I'm hosting a show tonight.